Hi, this is Conrad Zimmerman of FistShark Marketing, here to remind you that you are not alone. There are other people out there who actually like this absurd podcast and support it with their contributions through Patreon. You can be one of them. One of us. Just visit patreon.com/FistShark or click the big Patreon button at FistShark.com. And thanks for listening.
Well, I got the latest delivery from our new plumbers. Very excited about this. They are doing such great work. This was a really, really good decision on our part to hire them on.
I had my doubts. I wondered how former clients would work as employees. Would that be awkward? Would that be a little bit weird? We're used to really, representing musical acts. We're not used to musical acts doing work for us. But they settled in really well, and I've been impressed with the results.
Well, and it's helpful that we have them on a contract basis, right? I mean, we can just get rid of them if it gets a little too boisterous. Because I know that sometimes they have a little too much fun.
That's their whole gig. I mean, that's what really warmed me to them. I was like, okay, your former clients, your musicians, you're going to be performing criminal acts for us. But hey, you love fun. And I'm on board with that, Huey.
Yep, I was, and they are. They're having a really fun time with it. I'm not sure if you heard about the break-in they did for us 2 weeks ago over at Sizzlin' Beef, trying to figure out who their sources are.
How did they get something back?
Well, no, they didn't get anything back necessarily, but they did fill their entire office with packing peanuts.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, so maybe didn't figure out who the source was, but boy, did they inconvenience them a little bit and had a good laugh in the process. It was a good giggle. I mean, it must have taken them all day to get the packing peanuts out of those offices.
That's what I've always said about the fun-loving criminals, at least since they became literal criminals. Yes, they're literal criminals, but they still love fun. That's what I said. That's what I said back then, and it's what I say today. I say it twice a day.
At least. Oh, at least. You may say it 2-3 more times just in the course of this conversation.
If I'm feeling naughty.
I think I've been talking with them. They've been kicking around some really, really great ideas.
I don't doubt it. I mean, I thought they were creative as musicians, but when it comes to larceny, there's nobody better than the fun-loving criminals.
No, I found out that sometime in the next couple of weeks, they're going to go down to that big office building on 7th Street. You know, the one that, what's his name? The really annoying real estate magnate.
Oh, God. Melania?
Something like that, yeah. Something like that.
Melania something, yeah.
The Melania building. Yeah, that sounds right.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, they're going to go down there, and they're going to pour gelatin in the fountain.
Ho-ho! Oh, they're going to larcen the hell out of those fountains.
Can you imagine? And that's just, while they're on the way in to do some other stuff, right? They're going to steal some plans or something.
No, they're going to larcen some plans. This is the problem with them, is they're really insistent on terminology. And it's gotten to be a bit of an issue because filling up an office with packing peanuts it's a prank. It's not larceny. I mean, it's still criminal. It's vandalism, if anything.
But it's the fun-loving aspect of their nature.
Yeah. Except they insist that everything they're doing, while still fun and loved, is some form of larceny. Don't call it thievery. Don't call it vandalism. Like the Jello thing. That's larcenism.
Wait. They think that's larceny? But larceny's theft.
No. Larceny is larceny, which they consider a different crime. They don't realize. Like, I went through the etymology. I went from the Latin to the French for them, but they won't have any of it. So the whole corporate espionage thing, we're sending them to Polished Response next week. It's corporate larcenage.
Oh.
Just anything to stop Huey kicking off. And the other ones, I don't know their names.
Okay, all right. So basically, they're just putting everything that they do now professionally under the umbrella of larceny, whether or not that's accurate.
Yeah, I've got 2 theories as to why. A, because they are the fun-loving criminals, they're kind of considering themselves above other petty crime, and larceny sounds good.
Yeah, it has that sort of effete aristocratic.
Yeah. The other theory I have is that Huey mained Larson in Eternal Champions, and it might be because of that. It's one or the other.
That's right. I've forgotten that Huey was a professional Eternal Champions competitor.
Oh yeah, he's going to MLG next year. Gonna pick up the old mantle. Apparently, there's a big Eternal Champions resurgence. So
Gotta go to that. Gotta see that.
fuck yeah.
Nobody plays Eternal Champions like Huey.
Huey on EC? You kidding?
Yeah.
The fun-loving criminals? That Huey playing Eternal Champions? Well, if he's playing Larson, then he's going to win.
Oh, totally. Yeah, 100%.
Unless there's someone playing Trident really, really good.
But all things considered, that's fine. That's a small the larceny thing. That's a small deal. As long as they're doing good work, they can call it whatever they want to. But
they want to call it that. Let them get on with it. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. No harm, no foul.
All right, so let's move on to the other new hires then, because they are some fine people too.
Yeah, they are, and young as well.
Yeah.
What is it they do exactly?
Oh, they're cannibals.
Huh. Now that we've actually sat down and watched a full episode, it really wasn't that bad in retrospect, was it?
Well, it was original, It was maybe it was just ahead of its time in a lot of ways.
That's what people online have been saying since this has resurfaced. Ahead of its time is a very common description of it. Many people just weren't ready for a show like this. I hesitate to use the word groundbreaking because, there's not a lot you can do with a horse that just screams, especially as long and as loud as Jacob. Don't get me wrong. You put in an episode of Jacob the Screaming Horse and you expect to see a show about a horse screaming, but I was trying to follow the plot with the family, but hearing in the background, like, even when he was far away, I could barely make out the dialogue. It was a confusing show, and yet I was enthralled in an almost Lynchian way, which is odd to describe a family sitcom.
It is. It's not what you normally expect, but it's interesting. I read a thesis that some college student put out about Jacob the Screaming Horse.
I love thesi.
Yeah, and this was really, really interesting because it sort of viewed Jacob the Screaming Horse as a statement on the nuclear family and its inability to communicate over the noise of society at large.
Well, that's actually quite fitting because the people who played the family on that show did get radiation sickness at one point.
Really?
Yeah, they were quite literally a nuclear family. We filmed it near an abandoned silo.
I did not know. Wow, that's a fun little...
Yeah. The crew were all in hazard suits, of course, but they were performing. You couldn't wear a hazard suit as a family; that would look silly. And that's why the boy who played Timmy, shat his ribcage out.
Right.
Yeah. Which, of course, is indicative of the problem we have with Jacob the Screaming Horse right now. Not so much the boy. 7-year-olds can be replaced quite easily. It's the horse.
Yeah.
It's the horse, Conrad. Now, how were we to know? Jacob the Screaming Horse did not test well with audiences. Jacob the Screaming Horse, when we first tried to air it, was quite famously panned as being nothing but a shit-drivel show about a horse that goes, "Ah!" So we did the only thing that could possibly have been done, Conrad.
Right. Well, we found a way for Jacob to be productive and turn a profit.
And now he is holding together many flimsy bits of wood and papers and posters and whatever else you use glue for. I don't know. I've never had to glue anything in my own life. I normally have someone do it for me.
But you're right. It does now make it a little more difficult to capitalize on the renewed interest in Jacob.
Ideally, we just find a new horse. But as we found, finding a horse like Jacob is a lot more difficult than one might initially thought. Who knew? Who knew finding a horse that would scream a lot, like someone being attacked, would be difficult?
I hear a lot of, like whinnying, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not screaming.
Oh, no. I mean, I once auditioned Esmeralda, the sobbing horse, but it just wasn't funny.
No.
It just wasn't funny. Now, if HBO need a horse for Game of Thrones, I've got one in the bag. But people want a screaming horse. They don't just want any old horse. They don't want a horse that can make a noise. They don't even want a horse that can sing. Now, this horse could do Louis Anderson on command. And I mean pitch perfect. And because it wasn't screaming, the audience were so angry they tore the horse to pieces.
Tragic.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we can issue a new DVD set. We can get the show out on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah, we can remaster it.
It's not that there aren't opportunities to profit from it, right? But if we're going to do like a Netflix revival series...
Yeah, exactly. Jacob the Screamier horse?
We're going to need a new horse. We need a new Jacob. And we need a Jacob that's indistinguishable from the old Jacob.
Right, we need a Jacob that looks like, and more importantly, sounds like the old Jacob. Like, even human vocals can't accurately reproduce it. We do the best we can. But Jacob had a very particular sound that neither human nor beast has replicated in all of our auditions and, more importantly, and distressingly, in our experiments.
There's a certain frequency that he could hit. He was both shrill and guttural at the same time. And that kind of range, I don't know if we're ever going to find another horse exactly like it. I mean, maybe with some vocal training, we could get a horse there?
Well, Dr. Nightscream has been playing around with horses and various liquids. The results have produced a kind of paste.
The liquids turn into a paste? Now, how does that help the horse to scream?
No, the liquids turn the horse into a kind of paste.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, the upshot is that during metamorphosis, the horses do sound a little bit like Jacob. With a bit of pitch shifting, a little bit of audio magic, we might be able to reproduce the sounds. The problem is, the sound lasts for roughly 2.8 seconds before the horse is rendered into a kind of viscous, soup-esque puddle/pile.
I mean, that's not a long time. I mean, I guess we could conceivably use the liquids on a few score horses and get enough to do it all in Foley.
It's a very expensive way of getting what we need. Because remember, Jacob was more than just a screaming horse. Jacob had an emotion to him. He had a range. For many, to the casual listener, the difference between "ah" and "ah" are inconceivable, indescribable, may as well be non-existent. To a hardcore Jacob the Screaming Horse fan, you know that one was lust and the other was regret.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's the subtle distinctions. It's a rich tapestry.
And according to Dr. Nightscream's projections, we're going to need at least 16 horses just for lust. And remember that on the Hobson scale of emotions, regret is 15 times more horses than lust. And that's not me saying it, that's science.
Maybe if we could just find a way to extend the amount of time that this process takes, just something to stretch it out, really, really slow it down so we could reduce the total number of horses and just have one horse, or I don't know, maybe 10 horses very, very, very slowly converted to paste.
Right.
Maybe it would work better to use an injection that sort of converts the horse to liquid inside out and sort of a slower transition.
We should eat a horse from the inside in the name of situational comedy is basically what you're arguing, and I see nothing wrong,
Right,
morally or philosophically, with that argument. We do need a longer scream, and the longer the scream, the less horse is used, the less expense to us, and of course the less psychological horror inflicted on the people auditioning the horses, you know?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, if you think about it, really. I mean, are you more tormented by watching 50 horses be transformed into a liquid while screaming over, 3 seconds each, or 3 horses, for 35, 40 seconds? It's a toss-up, really. I guess
It's chicken and egg, really.
yeah, apples and oranges.
Swings and roundabouts. Every cloud has a screaming horse.
But then, okay, so that we can theoretically resolve the issue of the sound of Jacob. But finding a horse that just looks that miserable all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very particular kind of misery as well. Esmeralda the sobbing horse has despair and hopelessness down pat, but does not have that kind of horrified at its own existence look that Jacob was able to nail so perfectly.
And it's hard to find horses that can get to that state, because most of the time when you train a horse, you train it for work around a farm, or you train it for racing, and so those are competitive and they have things to look forward to.
You don't train a horse to look you deep in the eyes and somehow say without uttering a coherent word that you really, really would appreciate it if they just put a bullet in your wrong head.
People aren't going to accept, we can't just do, this is Jacob's nephew.
Oh, are you kidding?
They're going to want Jacob.
The fan base would riot. We would stop selling screaming bobbleheads.
I mean, maybe eventually we could spin off Jacob's foal, Nigel, spin-off. Sure.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, we could get all sorts of horses as side characters. We can get horses that laugh. We can get horses that cry. We already have a horse that could cry. We can get horses that loop-de-loop in their magnificent flying machines for all I fucking care. Right now, we need Jacob.
Okay, I think I know what to do. We already have a horse, I'm sure, somewhere, of the hundreds of horses that we are getting to record for screaming. There has to be one that at least looks enough like Jacob to pass, just at casual glance. So all we need to really do is just take our new Jacob and put him in a room with a television and cable news. And I say give it a week.
I've been to luau's that have tried to provide a unique spin on things, but I've never quite been to a luau like that one.
That was different. It was, it was much more energetic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, normally you go to a luau and it's kind of relaxing. You've got that sort of tropical vibe, but it's, no cares. It's, it's not Brazil.
It's Jimmy Buffett.
Exactly. Yes.
the spiritual opposite to Brazil.
Yeah, and so that's what I expect from a luau. This had a lot more of that energy that well, I mean, that's come to be expected, I guess, considering our host. I mean,
Yeah.
when you have Jeremy Renner hosting a luau, it's going to be a treat. It's going to be unique.
Yeah, it's gonna feature insertion. I think that's one thing you've got to be aware of when Jeremy Renner's involved. I mean, that said, the whole event was called Jeremy Renner's Fuck Feast, so I'm not quite sure what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be quite so literal, I guess. I thought maybe there'd be a bit of wordplay involved, some nuance in that name. I didn't expect it to be very, very literal.
It could have been a show, right? I mean, he does this all the time. Does his little one-man stage shows where he fucks things.
Yeah, I was hoping like maybe he'd be on a stage softly banging a skeleton or something while I'm getting stuck into some quality pig.
Right, I thought like dinner and a show.
Yeah, dinner and a show, but dinner was the show?
Yeah, and thankfully the show wasn't dinner.
Yeah. He stuck his dick in all the food, basically. I think that's let's not beat around the bush here, because he certainly didn't. He stuck his dick in all of the food, Conrad.
Yeah.
I was very hungry, and I couldn't eat the chicken long rice because there was something longer than the rice in there.
The pig up there on the spit, I thought it would be too warm, frankly. Like, that man has got to have a dick of stone, because it's not like he took it off the spit.
No, he just provided one half of the spit.
Yeah, just supported it by the neck and just in he went.
Turned it round and everything, groaning on every spin.
I mean, impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he's a showman.
Yeah, and no matter how many times he said it, every time he said, "I've heard of a stuck pig before, but this is ridiculous," made me laugh.
It did get a laugh, yeah. And yeah, that's a joke you'd think would only fly once, but no.
15 times.
Still funny.
It was a stuck pig. It is funny again.
It's true, yeah.
He had his dick in the pig that we thought we were going to get to eat.
Oh.
Shame about the salmon.
Oh.
The loamy salmon, or as he called it, the bloamy salmon.
Mm-hmm. And the poke, too.
Yeah, that one wasn't clever.
It wasn't clever. It really wasn't. And
it wasn't clever.
And it's just kind of, it's like a tuna tartare thing. You know, it's just I've seen tuna tartare fucked before, you know. That was nothing special.
Who hasn't? We've been in the marketing game long enough by now.
Right? There's a progression. You're going to eat off of a naked person at some point.
Of course.
And then eventually someone's going to insert into your tuna.
Yeah. We've all been to Christopher Walken's house.
Yeah, it's nothing new. Now, I got to admit, the poi was interesting.
That was a spirited part of the evening.
It really was, because the thing about poi is that it's all about consistency.
Mmm.
And I have never seen one penis poi before. But he got it in there, and he pulled out, and it did not come clean. Like, he brought the whole bowl with him. It was astounding.
I think, if anything, that's what made the pig easier to deal with, because it was pretty caked on. It was like a natural condom.
Well, it's when you don't take the teeth out of the pig before you mount it, you got to have some form of protection. And so, yeah, I think the poi served that purpose well. But, like, did he have to fuck every ukulele on that stage?
Yeah, because in his words, the pig got him right bloody horny. I don't know why he said bloody. And he had to get ukulele'd as quickly as possible. I mean, by that point of the evening, we'd gotten a bit tired of the puns. We were hungry and grumpy, and he'd said the ukulele thing about 3 times before someone threw a bit of squid at him, which was a bad idea because the moment he got that in his hands, it went up himself.
Still, for all of the discomfort and displeasure that I experienced there, the man's upper body, like, it never stopped the hula the whole way through.
No! That was incredible.
It's like I can't rub my stomach and pat my head at the same time. Like, I just don't have the kind of coordination for even that simple task. I cannot imagine sticking my schlong into Halpia while not interrupting a hula once. Just so smooth. The man is talented. He's a showman. But I was so hungry.
I was very hungry. I got a hunger headache. And I may have eaten a bit of the pig.
No.
I carved off a bit that looked like it hadn't been fucked.
Wait, the whole thing got fucked?
Yeah, but
Who knows how he marinated?
if you squinted, bits of it didn't look bruised.
I will say, at the end, like when it was all finally coming to a head, at least he showed the proper respect. As he came screaming out Kamehameha, the name of the great Hawaiian king from legend.
I must admit, I did shed a tear at that. Just as he finished himself off into a handful of tropical fruits, just going Kamehameha! It did bring a tear to my eye. Although at that point, it may have been a suspicion that what we were drinking, I don't think it was coconut milk.
FistShark Marketing is Jim Sterling and Conrad Zimmerman. Theme music by Ben Rama. Additional music by Alazar Chand. Our editor is Austin Yorsky. Get more episodes and learn how to support the show at FistShark.com. Follow us on Twitter at FistShark for more of our exploits. Complaints can be forwarded via email to fistsharkmarketing@aol.com. And remember, we invent language to reshape reality. Goodbye.